Hello, this is our second lecture in 412, writing essays. And last time we talked about the general requirements and how we write essays in general, not particularly the ones we want to talk about today, the arguments. Although we mentioned the arguments a lot. Last time we talked about how we write grammatical sentences, how we write into paragraphs, how we have an outline, how we should create sentences, and that we should never learn essays by heart. This course is a course of skills, your ability to create sentences, paragraph and essays, organized of course around one idea, and this time we'll talk about the argument. We'll take an argument which we referred to quickly last time about how we develop an idea. First, we have a point of view and then we defend it. People say, for example, that women cannot be judges. Then I say, no, they can be judges. I can't simply say, women can be judges, and then full stop. People will say, yes, explain, why, how? I have to support my claim. My claim is that women can be judges. How do I support that? So I have to find 3 pieces of evidence, or more of course, but for the time limitation we'll say that we'll say 3 are enough. We can write books on that, but let's say 3 points. I should not go around one idea without division. I started by saying my essay here is about one point of view, which is women can be judges. This is the line I'm going to follow from beginning to end. However, it's one line, but there are many pieces of evidence that support that. Many supporting ideas that support this one line. These supporting ideas will not be a repetition of the same idea. This will be bad writing and bad argument. I should give ideas that are distinct from one another, although all of them will say that women are able to be judges. For example, I will say there is a constitutional one. That constitutions around the world and in my country say that women and men are equal. So they have to be given the same rights. Or maybe we use another one. This is one idea that occurs in my mind. I have ideas and then I put them down and I say, will this work here? Will this work? If one of them works, I keep it. So I'm trying to search for ideas to support the idea that women can be judges. We can say there is an intellectual one, an intellectual idea or aspect. We can say there is a historical one. We can say there is a psychological one. So now let's say that my claim here is that women can be judges, and they can be judges because of 3 important points: an intellectual one, a historical one, and a psychological one. Now of course every one has to be explained more, but at least now I have a plan. My plan is to use these 3. When I write my actual essay, I'll take them and develop them in details, but to say this quickly, I will say like that. The intellectual one. First of all, there is an intellectual aspect to this argument. Women have the same mental abilities like men, in a very general sense. There are variations, but still they have a brain. They have intellectual abilities. And we have seen this happening in society and how they excel in using intellectual ideas or expressing them and using them and so on. We'll say that a judge does not mean physical abilities. Judgeship needs abilities to think. It's an intellectual job. It's not like firefighting. Firefighting needs a man that's very strong and that can go into fire, can carry people on stairs and go down and up and so on. It needs a very strong person, very strong muscles. So a woman cannot be a firefighter. But a woman can be a judge. This point of argument is that judgeship is an intellectual thing. A judge needs brains and not brawns, not muscles. Now, we'll talk about this in details when you write the actual essay, but here is a point. There is an intellectual aspect to the argument. A judge does not need muscles, which are abundant in men, but not in women, or of course strong muscles. A judge needs brains. Women have brains just like men. This is one aspect, and the whole paragraph will be about this aspect. Then we move on to another paragraph. Furthermore, in addition, another point, another paragraph. We talk about the psychological aspect. People say that women are emotional, so they cannot judge rationally, and this is not a fact. This is what people say. Men are emotional and women are emotional. Men are rational and women are rational. Men are irrational and women are irrational. Men and women are alike in that, but it is individual differences. Psychologically speaking, women are able to be judges too, because the idea about women being emotional is not a correct one. Both men and women are emotional. Both men and women can be rational and irrational sometimes. These are individual differences and not a gender difference. So this is the psychological one. And something else, even if we talk about differences in psychology, women are more patient than men. Men are warriors by nature. They are not patient. They rush to fight. Women are patient. They sit down, they think, they listen. So maybe women are better judges than men. I'm discussing the psychological point of view. I believe women can be judges because of three distinct causes or reasons. One of them is that they need brains, not muscles, to be judges. So they have brains. If they don't have strong muscles, this is not relevant here. Another point, psychologically speaking, they are emotional like men. Men are emotional, they are the same. The differences are individual. And another thing, they are more patient. They can read character better. They look at other people. They're being emotional, if this is a good point, is that they can listen, understand the feelings of others. They are patient. They understand the person in front of them. Men can read the faces. They read something like 2 or 3 emotions, anger, happiness, but not all the tiny details, the 400 of them that women can read in the faces of others. So women have psychological abilities that can make them judges or even better judges. I talked about a psychological element and an intellectual one. I can talk about a third one. So move on, another paragraph, and then we say, furthermore, in addition, besides. I move into another one, and then I say, history proves that women were great leaders and judges. Then we take the historical evidence. We talk about the past and how women were leaders sometimes, were thinkers, were scientists, and were judges. So they succeeded in this way. We give particular examples of particular women like Indira Gandhi in India, how these women were very intelligent and they were even better than some men. How, let's say, Margaret Thatcher in England was such, they called her the Iron Lady. She could use her brains and she could run the country. She could even run the war in the Falklands. How in the history of Islam we have Lady Aisha, and how she was very intelligent, and she was actually a judge without being appointed a judge, because she could tell people what to do and they could ask her about lots of things. She was very intelligent and all Muslims respect her. So a woman was a judge in history. And how in Europe and in America and even in the Arab world and even in Iran, women actually work as judges and they are successful. And in Egypt too, we have women judges. So we have the historical evidence. Now this is how I'm thinking when I'm writing an argument. I start with a point of view that I state in a claim in one line, saying that women can be judges. And then I have 3 paragraphs after that. In every one of them, I use one piece of evidence to support this point of view. Every piece of evidence is distinct from the others, but all of them lead to one point supporting that women can be judges. Of course, when this is 5 paragraphs, I start at the beginning and say why I'm talking about this idea in the first place. I'm talking about the idea of women judges because there was a problem in Egypt a few years ago when a woman judge was appointed, and judges, male judges, said we don't like that. They resented the idea, and there were debates in the society about women being judges or not, their abilities to be judges or not. So there is a debate about this thing, and since women play a great role now in the whole society, why not play a role as judges? It's an issue that has been raised, that has been debated, and there were events that made us think about that. So that's why I'm talking about it. I start my introduction by introducing the idea, giving the background of this idea. There were debates and so, and then I end my first paragraph, the introduction, by saying they can be judges. Or maybe I say that many men see that the idea of women being judges or leaders is a bad one. They stand against that. They even were on a strike. Some male judges were on a strike saying that we cannot allow women to be judges. I say this is the background, the negative one. And then I start my thesis, my claim, by saying, however, women can be judges. They can even be better judges than men. Of course, this will make feminists very happy, but this is a point of view. I am not telling students what to think or what to believe. I'm telling them, if you have this point of view, this is how you express it. Another student will say, I believe women cannot be judges, and here are my points. The student will be doing very well if he has convincing points. But if he says women cannot be judges, and then he doesn't have anything to say, and then talks about irrelevant issues, so the essay is bad. The essay is bad or good not because you have this point of view or that point of view. The essay is good or bad because you can or you cannot support your idea. You are convincing or not. You are using good sentences or not. If this is my essay, I started by talking about the background, the debates. Then I mentioned my point of view, the point I'm going to defend, my claim, my thesis at the end of first paragraph, saying women can be judges. And then I wrote 3 paragraphs where I mentioned 3 aspects that will support my point of view: the intellectual one, the historical one, and the psychological one. Then the last paragraph, I will remind the reader of my thesis once more. I restate the thesis, saying, in this manner, we can see that women can be judges, or in any other way, but I say the thesis once more. Then I have a commentary. Commentary here will be a number of things. One of them here, for example, is to make a reservation. For example, people may jump in my face and say, no, they cannot be judges. Look at this woman, look at that woman. They cannot do this, they cannot do that. And I say, when we say women can be judges, of course, we mean women who are intelligent, women who are highly educated, women who are talented. But this applies to men as well. Not any man can be a judge. We only choose the best of men to be judges. We choose men who are qualified, who studied the law, who excelled in the study of the law, who are talented, who are intelligent, and then we say these men are judges. We do the same thing when we apply that to women. We choose women who are highly educated, etc., the same thing. So this does not apply to all women, exactly as it doesn't apply to all men. So this is a reservation at the end, because it may be understood that we are defending women, that any woman can be a judge, and that's not true. It could be any other commentary. It's up to the student. It could be a personal commentary, something nice to say, or if there is some gloomy ideas there, I should make things brighter, whatever. It's up to the student to write some kind of commentary at the end. Now we look at what we have been doing again. We are writing an argument, and we should see that it is an argument, not arguments. We write an argument, which means that it is one point of view. Some students will write not an argument, as we say here, this is what we're studying, argument. They will write something like advantages, disadvantages, everything that has to do with the subject. No, arguments here means a point of view that's defended, a point of view, a claim with supporting ideas. That's what we're doing. The elements discussed before are good start. I want students to practice and to practice and to practice, which means this is a skill, not anything to learn by heart. What I said today about women judges is not relevant to our subject, the idea of women and judges. What's relevant is the manner I organize the essay. Write sentences, this is the point. Again, if students are going to look up the subject on the internet and study everything about women or women judges, they may end up not doing anything that's right. Research is fine, learning is fine, but what we are doing here is not researching this particular subject. What we are doing is writing sentences, but sentences that are related to one argument. So we write sentences, that's what we do. We should see that our sentences are correct. You know 20,000 words of English, more than many native speakers of English. You can't write a correct sentence, result, useless knowledge, and a great waste of time and effort. Most people use only 2,000 words in writing. At the university you can use 5,000, 7, 8, maybe you'll never write 20,000. Great writers will use 8,000, 10,000. William Shakespeare uses something like 8,000 words. It's not the words that makes the writer. It's not just the number of words or that you know many words. It is how you use your sentences. Essay writing is first and foremost writing sentences, correct sentences. Then it is composing correct paragraphs. After we learn how to write correct sentences, as we said before, now we learn how to compose a paragraph of a number of sentences talking about only one aspect. Then it is composing correct paragraphs. Each paragraph is made up of more than one sentence. Each paragraph expresses one idea. A paragraph has a structure. Repeat again, this is what we are learning. Structured English, structured paragraphs. The paragraph has a topic sentence. The TS carries the idea of the paragraph in general. When you started the idea of, let's say, the economic side concerning fashion, we said fashion costs a fortune, or there is an economic aspect to the issue. Now, this is a very general thing to say. It's a topic sentence of the paragraph. After the topic sentence, we explain what we're talking about in 2 sentences, or 3 or more. This may include concrete examples. The best way is to make an explanation and then give examples. 5 paragraphs make up an essay. There is clear division. At the same time, there is one line that goes through all 5 of them. One line, for example, we said fashion is bad, fashion is good, women can be judges. One idea. One idea threads the whole subject. The whole subject is like one line. For example, all the topic sentences of paragraphs 1, 2, or 2, 3, and 4 support the thesis stated in paragraph 1 and restated in paragraph 5. Linear writing. Following one line of thought. I'm reminding students again, this is what we are doing. Conveying a clear message. Now, you say that women can be judges. Don't say again, but women cannot be. Now, your message is not clear. You have to decide before you start writing what's your message and make it very clear. Don't give advantages and disadvantages. This is not an argument. Writing with a purpose. You have a purpose why you are writing. You know every word you write serves your purpose. I want to prove that women can be judges. Taking and defending a point of view, a thesis. That's what we do when you write arguments. Developing the argument, introducing the topic, paragraph 1. Stating a thesis or implying it at the end of paragraph 1. Most of the time we state the thesis. We say it very clearly. Some writers will imply it. We understand it, but we don't see it written clearly. Following deductive logic from the general to the particular. You have the general idea first and then we explain it to go to the particular. Following inductive logic from the particular to the general. These are 2 manners of writing. If students are interested, they can look them up. Deductive and inductive. But the general idea is that we start from the general to the particular. Or following any kind of logical thinking. This is any kind of logical thinking. The essay here is not learning by heart again the structure of the essay and thinking that it should look very rigid. No, students should give me any kind of logical thinking. Convince me that you are logical. Example of a thesis and division of supporting ideas. Thesis, division, is valuable. It's an argument that wants to prove that television has great benefits. Television is valuable. You can say the opposite. But if we say it is valuable, you say why? Because of relaxation. Of course, we explain relaxation and give examples. It helps us relax, sit down, and so on. Entertainment and education. 3 good things that support the idea that television is valuable. This may be written in this manner. Benefits of television. We hear, this is paragraph number 1, we hear a lot about the negative effects of television on the viewer. Here we started by the point of view of the opponent, the one after which we say, however. People say television has bad effect But we'll say, no, it isn't. So we hear about that. Obviously, television can be harmful if it is watched constantly to the exclusion of other activities. It would be just as harmful to listen to CDs all the time or to eat constantly. However, when television is watched in moderation, it is extremely valuable as it provides relaxation, entertainment, and education. This is paragraph 1 of an essay, and this paragraph 1 is written in this manner. We have at the beginning introduction. Why are we talking about the subject? Because some people say television is bad and we think it is good, so we are responding to that. We said at the beginning, people say it is harmful, but we say if it is used a lot it is harmful. However here, because our point of view is the opposite of the point of view we mentioned at the beginning. However, when television is watched in moderation, it is extremely valuable. It is valuable is the thesis. But then the writer says, I'm going to talk about relaxation, entertainment, and education. Of course, he said this in this manner, as it provides these 3 points. So I know what I'm going to write about. These are the next 3 paragraphs. First of all, this must be relaxation then. First of all, watching TV has the value of sheer relaxation. So it gives us a lot of relaxation, clear relaxation. Watching television can be soothing and restful after an 8-hour day of pressure, challenges, or concentration. After working hard all day, people look forward to a new episode of a favorite show or yet another showing of Casablanca or Red River. These are names of films, and we are here giving concrete examples. You come home after a long day of work, you need to relax. It gives you relaxation. You sit down and you watch Casablanca or Red River. This period of relaxation leaves viewers refreshed and ready to take on the world again. Watching TV also seems to reduce stress in some people. This benefit of television is just beginning to be recognized. One doctor, for example, is giving examples here, advises his patients with high blood pressure to relax in the evening with a few hours of television. Now, if you look at this paragraph, starting from first of all, as a linker, giving the first idea, till the end here, it's 1 point. This paragraph gives me just 1 point, which is relaxation all through. And this 1 point here is 1/3 of the thesis. In the thesis, it is extremely valuable for 3 things: relaxation, entertainment, and education. Now I know this is 1 paragraph, this is another. Now I read relaxation, I expect the next one to be entertainment. Then it says, in addition to being relaxing, now here we are enumerating another one, television is entertaining. Now we said entertaining, we call this topic sentence, very general, it's not explained. We usually start like this, then we explain what we mean by that. We have the general thing, then we particularize and we give names and so on. Along with the standard comedies, dramas, and game shows that provide enjoyment for viewers, television offers a variety of movies and sport events. Moreover, in many areas, viewers can pay a monthly fee and receive special cable programming. With this service, viewers can watch first-run movies, rock and classical music, concerts, and specialized sports events like international soccer and Grand Prix racing. Names of the racing one, Grand Prix, particular one about movies, about the cable movies, about the dramas and the comedies, all this is entertainment. Now, of course, the last one will be the educational aspect. Most important, television is educational. Preschoolers learn colors, numbers, and letters from public television or public television programs like Sesame Street. Educational for everyone, especially preschoolers, like the program Sesame Street. Now, we are very general at the beginning, educational, and also this is 1 category. And then we give examples by preschoolers and the name of a program that use animation and puppets to make learning fun. Science shows for older children. And then we move on to older children, science shows. Like fun with nature, So Fun with Nature is another program. Go on location to analyze everything from volcanoes to rocket launches. It's not only children but also adults. Adults too can get an education. College credits included. Even the ones that colleges recognize and they give certificates to people. Colleges can use television to teach people, as we are doing now, from courses given on television. Also, television widens our knowledge by covering important events and current news. Now, everything is about education, from preschoolers to older children to adults to colleges and so on, and also about news and current events that we learn from the television. Now, here are 3 paragraphs telling us how television is useful. Then the writer gives us a conclusion. Perhaps because television is such a powerful force, we like to criticize it and search for its flaws. However, the benefits of television should not be ignored. Similar to the introduction, it's because of its force people may criticize it. However, again, we say it has great benefits. We are restating the thesis once more. Benefits of television should not be ignored. We can use television to relax, to have fun, and to make ourselves smarter. This is a summary of the 3 paragraphs. It's another technicality that we can use. In other words, 3 elements within one simple sentence tell us that we have mentioned having fun, relaxation. Make ourselves smarter, this is education. Relax was mentioned directly in the word relax. This is a summary of the 3 paragraphs. So this is the commentary, only the last sentence. This electronic wonder then is a servant, not a master. The commentary here says a lot in a very simple sentence. We say it may be not useful if it controls us, if we are its slave. But if we make the television our servant, it serves us, we use it intelligently. We don't make it our master. Because if people watch it a lot, they harm themselves, and this is the wrong one. This is the commentary. We should use television reasonably. Now, this sample will be very useful if students can not use the same one, of course, but use other ones similar to it. We use the manner that's used here. Students can even write the counter-argument. The counter-argument, they write about the harmful effects of television. Of course, when it is used in the wrong way, it can harm people. How? They watch for long hours. They harm their eyes, their backbones, their bodies. They are sitting on a couch. They are eating potatoes, drinking soft drinks all the time. So there is harm to the body. If television is used in the wrong manner, there is physical harm. Physical harm is one thing. My claim here will start as opposite to this one. I'm writing that television can harm us. Physically, I mentioned the one. The next one, I can talk about it can harm us psychologically. How? If children watch a lot of violent movies, they become violent themselves. If they use television for games, television can teach them to be impatient and to be nervous. Psychological ones too, they can learn sometimes immoral practices from certain programs, like for example programs that teach us that we should be consumers and nothing more. They say people who have money are great, people who don't have money are not. Of course, they don't say this in a direct manner, but we understand this from the emphasis on property, on money, on positions and such things. Or when there are films which are not suitable for children, so they learn what's not a good practice. So there is the psychological aspect, teaching bad habits and making people lazy and so on. Then we can talk about another one, which is a cultural aspect. With cable TV or satellite channel TV, we have an influence on our culture. People lose their identity. People in a certain place of the world, like in the Arab world, for example, may watch thousands of channels, actually thousands of them coming from around the world. And these channels are teaching them mores, habits, traditions, manners of life, cultures that are different from theirs. If they are very lazy and they watch TV all the time and they don't have critical thinking, they will lose their identity and they don't have the identity of their own country. So there might be a bad cultural one. Television, because it has lots of programs, especially with the satellite channels. I said hundreds of channels, and every one of them will be broadcasting for 24 hours. They put anything on TV. The old criteria of standard and taste and highbrow culture is not there anymore. Some channels will give us what we can call idiot culture, the culture that will please people, however stupid it is. So the cultural aspect is bad too. Student may write an essay here and saying, we wrote about the benefits of television, which is used reasonably, rationally, when you rationalize the use of TV. This is one argument. Another one, the counter argument, we can write that TV can be harmful to us, of course, when it is watched without being critical for a long time. And we write this kind of argument that I mentioned now. We see again that we may apply that what we learned today on other things. For example, write the counter argument responding to the previous essay. Counter argument, the opposite point of view. Now we try another thing. Computer software copyrights should be respected. Argue for or against. Now here the student will be faced with something that looks difficult, but we need to think a little, and we'll find a lot of ideas to say here. The copyrights of software means that we should not copy software. We should not steal software. We should buy it. That's the meaning of we should respect that. Students can write an essay here, and we say argue for or against. I can argue for that. Yes, software copyrights should be respected. If we steal the software by making copies, there are three bad things. First, the moral aspect. We're stealing. Second, the legal aspect. We have trouble with the law. Third, the, let's say, cultural one. The cultural one is that the software in the future will be of less value and will disappear because the companies don't get the money that's theirs, their right. They cannot develop the software, they can't enhance it, they can't add more, so we lose in the long run. So intellectually, this is a bad idea. What about trying the following topics? Fashion, women judges, computer games, video games, satellite channels, etc., and add your own. These are different suggestions for students to try. Students should try to write on fashion as we did before, women judges, and we spoke about that also, computer games, this is another one, or video games. If we write on video games, what can we say? Video games have become the craze of today for young men and women, especially young men, and sometimes even older men would use video games a lot. We find video games everywhere, and children love them. Many children have video games that we use at home from a PlayStation with a television monitor or using them on the computers. If they don't have video games at home, they go to arcades, to shops, to places where they can play video games. Now, this is an introduction, background. Video games are everywhere, and people are crazy about them. Sometimes companies suffer because employees are sitting there hiding from other people who can watch them and playing video games. So lots of time is wasted this way. But anyway, we said they are there. They represent a problem. The problem is getting greater and greater every day because a large number of people watch these video games. Sorry, use them, play them. Now, we make a claim against them. They are there, but we say they affect people adversely. They have a bad effect on us. How? We have 3 points to support that. I want students to try something like this, and let's think of this. There is a physical harm. Students playing video games for hours and hours on end will end up harmed somehow in their bodies. Of course, there is a psychological harm too, and there are other harms. But if I concentrate now on the physical harm because I write one paragraph only on the physical side. And we're training ourselves by writing one essay after another in this manner to categorize the points we are talking about. And instead of talking about one point, then another, then going to the first one again, and going in a circle, we are thinking in an analytic manner and writing in an analytic manner. The analytic manner I'm using here is that I'm trying to find everything that's bad about the video games concerning the body, and ignoring completely everything that has to do with society and things that have to do with the mind or the brain, the psychology, till later, to the next paragraph. In this paragraph, in my plan, I will say there is a physical harm inflicted on our children or any user of the video games. Video gamers are tempted to play the game for hours and hours because they are very alluring. They have a lot of fascination on them, and people love them, and they play for a long time. Now, how does this harm the body? They keep concentrating and gazing at the screen for long hours on fast movement. This may harm the eyes because of the flicker of the screen, because of this concentration for long hours on the screen. This will harm the nerves. They use the fingers using the joystick or the keyboard, and they use this fast and quickly all the time. They harm their fingers. Usually they are not sitting in a comfortable position. They're sitting on the floor sometimes lying on bed or in a position that's not comfortable for long hours. They end up harming their backbones. When children sit at home for hours and hours, or sit to a PlayStation or watching the screen for long hours, their bodies don't grow, or don't grow in the right way. Children need movement. They need movement, and they need to go out. They need exercise. So their bodies will be harmed because their growth will be stunted, since they do not move, they do not exercise. So the body is harmed in a number of ways, and we can find other things. Some children will get epileptic seizures sometimes because of concentrating for a long hour on the screen. But we don't need any technicalities here. We mentioned some of the technical points concerning the body. Now we move on to the psychology. So we can say furthermore, there is a psychological harm that afflicts a large number of gamers. The psychological harm may be the following points. Students or children playing video games become very nervous because they watch fast movement all the time, and the computer responds very quickly. In real life, things don't respond that quickly, so they become impatient and nervous when things in real life are not as fast as they are on the computer. Children develop bad habits. They become impatient and nervous. Video games have fighting in them. In many cases, we see people killing one another, shooting all the time, and blood scatters all over the place. They see blood, they see clubbering things on the head or hitting people on the head, shooting them, gunfire or whatever. There's a lot of violence in video games. Children become aggressive, become violent. They find that this is a way to solve problems. In the video game, they solve problems by cutting heads. So problems can be solved by being violent, cruel, and lots of bad traits in the personality. They become aggressive, they become violent, they become impatient, they become lazy. Because they're sitting there and everything's moving fast in front of them, they don't move around and do things. They become lazy mentally, not only physically. They become unable to create. They always respond to what's in front of them. Maybe they acquire certain good things about how to solve some very limited problems, but they don't have the creativity they get from reading books. They don't get the creativity they get from painting or drawing or discussing questions with other people. There are many other activities that will make people very creative, but concentrating on video games will limit creativity, will give them abilities maybe in a certain sphere, but will give them also inabilities in other spheres, will disable their potential. So, on the psychological level, there are many harms. What about other harms? We said we are against video games, especially using them a lot without control, because they harm the body, one element. They harm the brain, or let's say the psychology. of the child or the gamer, we need a third one. We are against video games because of the social aspect, the negative social aspect. This is a third point. So we can say, in addition, there is a decisively negative social aspect to video games. How is that? When children play video games, usually they are alone at home, one child playing alone or two children playing in front of the TV, but not children in society at large. In most cases, the child is by himself, herself at home using the video game. The child loses his social skills. The child grows up for years and years away from society or very limited society, and most of the time the child is by himself or herself in the room or in front of the video game somewhere. The child is isolated from society. What society? The small society at home. The child is no more a part of his family or her family. The child does not interact with his sisters and brothers, with mother and father, with grandmother, with uncle, with the family, and not with friends. He may have only one friend, but not many friends. He does not go to a club, or he does not play, let's say, football or whatever. He will meet other people, or he does not read, does not go to a library, he does not make friends. So he loses this ability to make friends. He does not go out and deal with people. He loses his ability to acquire social skills. When the child grows up and he tries to find a job, he's not able to deal with others. He can deal with a machine, not with other people. The social element of isolation, being away from society, the small society of the family or the friends or the larger society at large, is there, and it is disrupted. This ability to make social skills will be disrupted in the student or in the child. Now here we mentioned three things. We move on to the conclusion. So we made it clear that video games can harm people in different ways. Therefore, video games can harm us or can deal us a disservice. Then we make a commentary. The commentary here may strike a balance. A balance saying that we are not going to ban video games completely, we are not moving for banning them, but we are asking parents to control the number of hours the children play video games. Child may play a video game for 1 hour or half an hour, 2 times, 3 times a week or whatever. We put some kind of limit. And we expose them to other activities. We take them out, we help them make friends and so on, away from the video game. So my commentary here will be some kind of rationalization of video games, saying that we are not against new devices of technology, new advancements or things that children love, but we are against using them without limits. And this will be the conclusion. We saw in front of us the things that were asked for us to write. We talk about video games, satellite channels. We talked about satellite channels and how they can harm us in different ways, and then we can add our own subjects. We mentioned on the fly the idea of the pharmaceutical companies. Let's see how we can deal with this one. If I make a plan for the idea of copyrights, we can say pharmaceutical companies protect their patents. They protect their patents. They have a right to the medicines they make. This is the copyright. Should we respect that or not? Suppose someone says, no, I not respect that. I not respect the copyrights concerning pharmaceutical companies. We can say yes, we can say no. We are like legal counsels saying we stand against the company or for the company. Why is that? They want us to protect their patents by not copying them, by not knowing the ingredients and making the medicine ourselves. Now we can use things like this. For example, the economic aspect, and then we can talk about moral aspect, and then we can talk about knowledge or cultural aspect. Now, I'll show what I mean by these three things in a minute. Let's see first the meaning of this subject. Pharmaceutical companies, the companies that make medicines, want us to respect their copyrights, because if we use the ingredients and the way they make their medicines in our own companies and then give this to patients, we are infringing the law. We are breaking the law. For example, if there's a company in Switzerland like Ciba-Geigy, for example, or Roche or whatever, that makes a particular medicine, it's their own. They discovered how to make it, they invented the formula, and they sell this for a certain price. A company in Egypt or in Syria or in South Africa knows the ingredients and wants to make the same medicine. The company in Egypt makes the medicine and sells it to people at a very low price because they don't pay money to the Swiss company. If we give numbers, for example, the medicine will cost something like £1,000 if the company in Egypt pays royalties to the company in Switzerland, because it is their right. The medicine will cost something like 1,000, let's say, and £10. This will be very expensive for people who are really very poor and who are sick and they have to use the medicine. If the company in Egypt knows how to manufacture the medicine and this will cost only £10 and then they sell it to people for, let's say, £20, this will mean that the poor people will find the medicine, but at the same time the Egyptian company has broken the law by stealing the formula, by not respecting the copyright of the Swiss company. So this is the issue. This is the issue that's debated. Laws will necessitate that we respect this kind of law. But it happens sometimes that a certain company and a certain country will say, we will break the law here because we have our causes, we have our evidence why we do that. This happened in South Africa when they broke the law once because they manufactured medicines for AIDS that cost a lot of money. They manufactured that locally and sold this to patients at a very low price. They infringed the law of copyright, and companies in Switzerland filed law cases against the company of South Africa. So this happened in reality. And people in countries like Egypt that are poor say, why should we pay money to the company in Switzerland? Let's see the lawyer of South Africa who defended the South African company breaking the law and manufacturing the medicine locally. What this lawyer may have said, what could he have said? He may have said the same things we will mention here now. We may not respect this in certain cases. For example, a poor country, poor patients that cannot afford to pay all that money. This is the economic aspect. We mention numbers, salaries, income, cost of medicine. A person whose income, his monthly income is £300, and then he has a disease of the heart that has to be treated in the long term. The medicine will cost something like £1,000 per month. How can a person whose salary or whose income is £300 pay £1,000 every month to buy this medicine? So there is a point of view that says there are many poor people who cannot afford the exorbitant prices that companies, maybe in Switzerland or another company, another country, will demand for the medicine. The law here, or the counselor for defense, defending South Africa or the company that broke the law, will say there are poor people who are unable to pay that kind of money. There are poor people in South Africa or in Egypt or in any other company, a country, who are unable to do that. So there is this economic factor about poverty of a patient and the country. This is one point. Then, do you have another one? We come to the moral aspect. Of course, stealing is immoral. But then somebody will say, let's discuss the morality of the whole thing. What about the morality of the company itself that made medicine for patients who have to buy the medicine, and the companies charge very high prices. Sometimes they make something like a profit of 10,000%. A medicine that will cost a few pounds is sold for thousands of pounds, and these companies are even richer than drug dealers. They are richer than drug dealers because they sell their medicines at very, very high prices, and they know that their patients will have to buy it. They are compelled to buy it. It's not a luxury. It's not a whim like even the drug addict. These people who are sick have to buy the medicine, so if the prices are very high, they will still buy that medicine. So the companies themselves that sell their medicines at very, very high prices are immoral. How come they ask us to be moral and respect the copyright, and they don't respect morality in the first place? So here we are reversing the idea of morality. They say the companies that manufacture the medicine at a low price without paying royalties to the company that made the medicine are immoral. The companies that steal the formula are immoral. Maybe this company sells the medicine almost at very low cost, just the cost of making the medicine. So we are reversing this and saying the morality thing is against these companies that want us to respect the copyright because they don't have morality in the first place, exploiting the pains and agonies of the sick people. Now this is a point, this is a point of view, the morality of the whole thing. Now what about knowledge? A third point. Knowledge here we say that knowledge should be for free. Scientists give knowledge for free. They shouldn't sell their knowledge. So we have three things: economic, moral, and knowledge. About knowledge of science and so being in the general domain for everyone to make use of. Scientists are not dealers. Scientists are not traders. They give their knowledge to humanity. Here are the 3 points that students may think about, or they may reverse the whole thing and they say we should respect the copyright in this case of medicine or anything. Now these are points to ponder, to think about. Think about the argument and the counter argument. Thank you.